Every morning, millions of people accidentally interrupt one of the most important cleaning processes in the human body. They do not even know it is happening. Most people answer in half a second. Food or coffee. Something to kickstart digestion, like your gut is a cold engine that needs fuel before it will turn over. That answer is backwards. Because right now, before you have eaten anything today, there is a good chance something is already moving inside your gut. A slow, powerful wave of muscle contraction, traveling from your stomach all the way down through your small intestine. It has been doing this every couple of hours, all night, while you slept. Doctors have a nickname for it. They call it the housekeeper. You have probably never heard its real name. By the end of this video, you will, and you will never hear your stomach growl the same way again. Here is why this matters. I spent about a month paying close attention to something most people never think about. Not what I ate first each morning, but when. Do you wake up already a little bloated before you have had a single bite? Does your stomach growl loudly the second you sit up, even though you just went 8 hours without eating? Have you noticed breakfast makes you gassier some mornings than others, for no reason you can point to? All three of those are clues that something specific is happening, or getting interrupted, inside your gut before you have even reached for the coffee pot. And it has almost nothing to do with what is on your plate. Here is what is actually happening inside your gut right now. That wave I mentioned has a real, clinical name. The Migrating Motor Complex. Doctors first described it more than 50 years ago. What it does inside your body is far stranger than most people realize. It was first described in 1969 by a physiologist named Joseph Szurszewski at the Mayo Clinic. He ran electrodes into the small intestine of fasting dogs and watched something strange. A burst of powerful electrical activity that started near the stomach and rolled steadily down the entire length of the gut, like a wave moving through a stadium crowd. Then it would go quiet. Then, 90 minutes to 2 hours later, it would start again. Szurszewski noticed one more thing. The instant the dogs were fed, the wave stopped completely. Stop for a second and think about what that means. It means your gut runs two different programs, and only one can run at a time. There is the fed program, which kicks in the moment food hits your stomach, built for grinding, mixing, and absorbing. And there's the fasted program, the one likely running right now if you have not eaten yet, whose entire job is cleanup. The wove itself is not one continuous push. It cycles through 4 phases. A long quiet stretch, taking up nearly half of each cycle, where almost nothing happens. Then a period of irregular, low-level contractions, building slowly. Then, for a few intense minutes, the real event. Strong, rhythmic contractions at peak force. Then a short decline before the whole thing resets and starts again, roughly every 90 minutes to 2 hours, all night long. 10 years after Szurszewski's dog experiments, a researcher in Belgium named Gerard van Trappen confirmed the same wave in humans and traced what happens when it breaks down. Patients whose wave was not completing properly were developing a specific problem: bacterial overgrowth in the small intestine, now known by the acronym SE. That is not a coincidence. That is the whole point of the wave. Picture a street sweeper truck. It runs down your block after midnight, brushing the leftover litter and loose debris off the pavement and into the gutter drain long before the delivery trucks start rolling in at dawn. Your migrating motor complex has the same job inside your intestine. During its most powerful phase, it sweeps leftover food particles, dead cells, and bacteria down toward your ileocecal valve, the one-way gate between your small intestine and your colon, where that debris actually belongs. That stubborn shred of fiber your body could not fully break down at dinner? This is the system built to clear it out. Here is where it gets stranger. This wave does not fire on its own. It is triggered by a hormone, and the hormone has its own origin story. In the 1960s, a researcher named John Brown, working in Vancouver, was running an unrelated experiment when a lab technician accidentally poured an alkaline solution into a dog's duodenum instead of a mild acid. The dog's stomach started contracting hard, unprompted. Brown chased that accident for years, ruling out one known gut hormone after another, before finally isolating the culprit, a 22 amino acid peptide he named motility, released by specialized cells lining the upper small intestine, concentrated most heavily in the duodenum. Think back to the street sweeper. It does not clock in on its own schedule. Something has to radio the depot and say, "The block is clear, send the truck." Motility is that radio call. Roughly every 90 minutes to 2 hours. While you are fasting, motility levels surge, and that surge is what dispatches the next housekeeping wave down the line. And here is the part that actually explains something you have felt 100 times. That loud stomach growl, the one you have always assumed meant feed me now. A 2016 study out of KU Leuven in Belgium, led by researchers Jan Tak and Ingeborg Porter, tracked motility flex and gut contractions at the same time people reported feeling hungry. The two lined up closely. In a lot of cases, that growl is not your gut sounding an alarm. It is the sound of the housekeeper finishing its loudest, final pass, the same wave, just loud enough this time to hear from the outside. Which brings us to the part that explains why timing beats content. The instant real calories hit your stomach, hormones like gastrin, insulin, and cholecysticonin flood in and shut the fasted program down. Not dim it, shut it down. Researchers measuring this directly have found that a single modest breakfast, around 450 calories, can keep the housekeeping wave switched off for over 3 hours afterward. Further work from that same Belgian research group found the type of food matters too. Fat keeps the fed pattern running the longest, carbohydrate comes next, and protein clears the fastest of the three. A black coffee or a glass of plain water carries none of that caloric weight, essentially. A creamy latte or a granola bar carries plenty. I honestly expected nothing to change. I almost stopped after the first week, because it felt completely pointless. Before, my routine was ordinary. Wake up, and within 10 minutes, eat something. Some mornings a sweetened coffee first, sometimes straight into breakfast. By mid-morning, most days, I felt tight and bloated, and I would usually loosen my belt by 10 a.m. without thinking about it. So I made one change. I got up, drank about 16 ounces of plain water, and did nothing caloric for the next 30 minutes. Got dressed, let the dog out, checked messages. No sweetened coffee standing at the counter. No granola bar on the way out the door. Week 1 felt pointless, if I am honest. Week 2, not much different. By week 3, the mid-morning bloating had noticeably eased, and I stopped needing to loosen my belt most days. There were still off mornings. A late dinner the night before, or a stressful week, seemed to undo it, which tracks with what the research says about stress and this wave. I am one person, not a clinical trial, so take that for what it is worth. But it was consistent enough that I kept doing it. The bigger surprise was not the bloating, honestly. It was how much less urgent that first morning growl felt once I stopped treating it like an emergency. So if food is not the answer, what does your stomach actually need first? Here is what the mechanism tells us, broken into 4 reasons. Reason number 1. Bacterial control. The wave's most powerful face is what keeps your small intestine from becoming a place where bacteria set up permanent residence. In a normal cycle, that wave sweeps bacteria along toward the ileocecal valve and out into the colon, exactly where they are supposed to go. When the cycle gets chronically interrupted by constant snacking or eating before the overnight wave has finished, bacteria linger in the small intestine longer than they should, feeding on whatever residue is sitting around. Van Trappen's original 1977 human study found precisely this pattern in patients with bacterial overgrowth. An impaired, incomplete wave compared with a normal, fully cycling one in healthy subjects. A gut that finishes its cycle keeps bacteria moving through. A gut that never finishes lets bacteria settle in and multiply where they do not belong. Reason number 2, digested debris. Fiber, connective tissue, that one bite you never fully chewed. Your stomach and small intestine cannot break all of it down through ordinary digestion alone. The housekeeping wave is a mechanical backup system, physically dragging leftover material along instead of letting it sit and ferment where it lands. A gut where that wave runs to completion clears its own residue between meals. A gut interrupted every 90 minutes, snack after snack, accumulates it instead. One likely reason chronic grazers report more gas and bloating, not less, despite eating smaller amounts at any one sitting. Reason number 3. The hunger signal itself. Remember motility, the hormone John Brown discovered by accident? TAC and Deeperter's 2016 research found that its surges track closely with the subjective feeling of hunger, right down to the timing of self-reported hunger scores. That means the growl you hear is not a starvation alarm going off. It is closer to a status update from a system doing routine maintenance. Ignore it for 10 or 20 minutes, and for most healthy people, it passes on its own. The wave finishes, motility drops, and the sensation fades until the next cycle picks it back up. Reason number 4. What actually shuts the wave down, and what does not? It is not waking up. It is not standing up. It is not the smell of coffee. It is calories, specifically, and both the amount and the type matter. A splash of milk in black coffee is a small enough load that it barely registers with the hormones that police this system. A full sweetened latte, a pastry, or a granola bar is enough to flip the switch immediately, and once it flips, it stays flipped for hours, not minutes. The Fed program takes over, and the housekeeper clocks out until the next window opens. Now here is where most people undo all of this without realizing it. Mistake number 1. Eating within minutes of waking, out of habit rather than actual hunger. If you are reaching for food before your eyes have adjusted to the light, you are very likely cutting off a wave that is still mid-cycle, purely because the clock said morning, not because your gut had actually finished its job. Mistake number 2. Starting the day with a sweetened coffee or a flavored creamer. It tastes non-caloric. It is not. Any real calorie load, even a small one, tells your gut a meal has arrived, and the housekeeping program shuts down exactly as if you had sat down to a full plate. Mistake number 3. Constant grazing through the morning. A few almonds at 9, a granola bar at 10:30, a smoothie at noon. Each bite resets the fasted clock back to 0. If you have never fasted for more than an hour or so at a stretch, the wave never gets the 90-minute plus runway it needs to complete even one full cycle, let alone several. Mistake number 4. Treating every stomach growl as an emergency. Most of the time, it is not. It is motility doing its job, not your body running out of fuel and reaching for a snack the instant you hear it just restarts the Fed program before the housekeeper finishes. Here is how to actually work with this, not against it. Step 1. When you wake up, drink 12 to 16 ounces of plain water. It carries essentially no calories, so it does not trip the same hormonal shutdown switch that food does. Step 2. Give yourself 20 to 30 minutes of non-caloric time before your first bite. Shower, get dressed, check your messages, get some daylight if you can. You do not need to time it to the minute. For most people, the overnight wave is already deep into its final pass by the time they wake up, so a short buffer is usually enough to let it finish. Step 3. Once you do eat a full meal instead of grazing, and try to leave 3 to 4 hours before the next one, so the wave has a chance to run a full cycle again during the day, not just overnight. Step 4. If you want to take it further, notice which foods leave you feeling heavier for longer afterward. That is very likely the fat content keeping the Fed program running, not a sign anything's wrong with you. A few safety notes. This is not a fasting mandate, and it is not a reason to override real hunger or medical guidance. If you take medication that requires food, or manage blood sugar with regular meals, follow that guidance over anything in this video. And if you already deal with a diagnosed motility issue, HCBO, IBS, gastroparesis, or take opioid pain medication, which is known to blunt this wave, talk to your doctor before changing your routine. The mechanism itself may already be impaired in ways a video cannot diagnose. Here is the part that widens this beyond just do not eat the second you wake up. The migrating motor complex is not purely a local gut reflex, it is wired into your nervous system too. The enteric nervous system, sometimes called your body's second brain, runs this cycle largely on its own. But your vagus nerve, the same nerve that governs your resting heart rate and your ability to calm down after stress, also helps modulate it. Chronic stress has been shown to reduce this wave's activity. That means the same nervous system state that leaves you anxious or wired can leave your gut's cleaning cycle running weaker, night after night, independent of anything you eat, and there is a downstream stake worth naming directly. SEBO, the bacterial overgrowth condition Van Trappen first linked to a broken wave back in 1977, is now understood as one of the more common hidden contributors to chronic bloating, irregular bowel habits, and food sensitivities that never quite get explained. None of that starts with what is on your breakfast plate. It starts hours earlier, with a wave most people have never heard of, running while they are asleep. It is also probably no accident that time-restricted eating and overnight fasting windows keep showing up in gut health research. Strip away the branding, and a lot of what those approaches are really doing is protecting this exact wave, giving it enough uninterrupted stretches, day and night, to run its full cycle instead of getting cut off every hour or two. You do not need a strict eating window to benefit from that. You just need to stop treating the second I wake up as a rule. So let us bring it all together. Your stomach's first need every morning is not food. It is time, short window for a wave that is already mid-cycle to finish its job. Quick recap. The Migrating Motor Complex. Your gut's housekeeper, discovered by Szurszewski in 1969, confirmed in humans by Van Trappen in 1977. Motility, the hormone that fires it, found by accident by John Brown. That growl, not an emergency, just the wave finishing loudly. Water does not stop it. Food does 4 hours. The fix: 16 ounces of water, 20 to 30 non-caloric minutes, then an actual meal, not a graze. Fewer trapped bacteria, less leftover residue, a calmer relationship with your own hunger growl. That is the whole list. This changes how you spend the first 10 minutes of tomorrow morning. That is exactly what this channel is for. Hit subscribe, try it for a week, then come back and tell me what changed. And if you know someone who swears breakfast is the only thing that helps their bloating, send them this video. It might not be the toast. It might be the timing. Your gut has been running this cleanup shift every night of your life, whether you have ever thanked it or not. Tomorrow morning, before you reach for breakfast, remember this. Your stomach is not waiting for food. It is finishing yesterday's work. Give it a few more minutes.